Well, this is not ketamine. This is Adderall.
Oh my God! I tried Adderall for the first time at Universal Studios.
Oh, really?
Yeah!
Oh, that's a weird place to do it.
Because my sister, she is younger than me. She's like 24, and she's... Oh my God, I don't know if I should be saying this.
No, I mean, hey.
Oh, well, I won't be saying names or anything.
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
she's
of course.
She's a pharmacy tech, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, she was like, oh yeah, you'll be fine. It'll be fun, right? You'll just have full of energy all day. And
Theoretically, yeah.
yeah, and then, so I took one whole one, which was... Yeah.
How many milligrams was that?
A lot, because I couldn't go to sleep for over 2 days. Yeah,
Oh
I was
my
up
God.
for 48 hours, and it was hell. Like, I hated it. And then the next day, she was like, so, how was your night? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I couldn't sleep. She was like, oh my God, I should have gave you half.
I done seen some things.
Yeah. I remember, like, trying to fall asleep with my eyes closed, and it... You know when you're like staring at like floating like fractals or whatever?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I just kept like watching the back of my eyelids
Oh.
like form shapes and stuff.
I hate that.
That was my very first experience with it, and it traumatized me.
Yeah.
I never want to do it again.
I wouldn't want to do it again either.
So is that one whole one?
No, God, it was a quarter.
Okay.
Yeah. I like to...
You'll find that I search for words a lot. That's why I write.
I like to keep in control.
I don't like to be too at the mercy of whatever it is I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's more of a thing like, I'm just going to do this thing because I know it helps. Rather than, I want to see how fucked up I can get. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's important.
Do you usually take it like late nights when you're writing and whatnot?
I take it at the same time each day because it's prescribed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I take it at 8 a.m. I take it at noon, and then if I'm doing something after work, I take it right when I start doing that after work then.
Then you take it responsibly.
I do. I take everything responsibly. The problem is I take everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have that. I'm one of 1,000 people in the country with a ketamine prescription for antidepressant. Well, good thing we're not rolling.
Oh, we're rolling.
Oh, wow. For anti-depression and anti-anxiety. And the results have been unprecedented in my life by several miles. I take that at night before I go to bed because if I take it during the day, I will trip balls for 20 minutes.
Wow.
Which I would prefer. I do it at night, and I prefer to do it at night because then I don't have to be anywhere.
Right.
I took it once when I was out in public and drinking in Colorado with someone I had never met before, who I had known for a year and a half, and I lost control of the plot, and I had to leave. And I was like, wow, sorry, that's the lasting memory of me you're ever going to have.
Oh.
Human that I knew forever.
Aw. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I've done worse in my lifetime, I'm sure. But it was an accident.
Yeah. It was a learning experience.
Yeah, I apologized, and we are now good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
She-
And
She was more scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of reaction happens?
Catatonic. I was like, I started sweating, my eyes dilated, and I just lost responsiveness. And I just kept seeing stuff, which had never happened before in my life. Like, I don't like feeling out of control. And so I was like, God, I really need to leave. I didn't. And then as soon as I get back to my hotel, I'm like, oh, it's over. Right. I was like, well, I could have stayed out, I suppose, but I preferred to be safe. And that was not something I would recommend anyone else ever doing. Not that too many people are in the unlikely occurrence to be in Colorado with someone they had never met in person before, drinking, and also with a ketamine prescription.
Yeah.
And taking it at the same time every day.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Well, at least you survived and you lived through it.
It was, yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. And that's the thing that I was so confused by. I was like, I've only had like 3 beers. Why am I this weird right now? You know, I didn't take like the maximum dosage. You know, they were like, do one in this nostril, one in this nostril. I was like, okay. And that just didn't work out.
You sniff it?
Yeah, it's a nose spray. Now there's an IV that you get as well. You can have that. You don't need a prescription for that. You just need to go to a clinic. Shout out to Illuma. And then they'll like stick a needle in you, and then for an hour they'll just pump you full of ketamine while you watch nature on the TV in a comfy recliner. And then you legally trip balls for about 45 minutes. Like the hardest trip that you will ever take. I don't do it for that. The magic that happens in the days that follow when it builds new neural pathways for you to experience pleasure and for you to focus on stuff. And it's been a godsend.
Yeah.
But the experience of being in that chair, watching the room melt away while you sort of flip in and out of reality itself is pretty incredible.
It sounds like shrooms.
It is, yeah. It's an anesthetic that has similar shroomy hallucinogenic properties to it. And so it's a wonder drug. It's getting rave reviews, for what it's doing off label. And, I think it's only really a matter of time before we responsibly roll it out in a way that people can actually get the help they need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Huh.
Look at that. Come for the...
Yeah.
You get more than you bargained for here.
I'm learning.
I know, right?
Well, since we've dove deep into
Sure, yeah.
medications, we might as well introduce my guest today. We have John. But on Instagram you go by Hey Gorman. Is that your last name?
It is my last name.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And I've been following you for quite some time, and what's attracted me to your page is your photography and your wonderful captions, like, underneath them. I'm just like, wow, how insightful. Or, like, I like how you share a bit of your personal life. So let's bring it back to the beginning.
Sure.
When were you born? No, I'm just kidding.
I am timeless.
So you're originally from...
I was born in the great city of Niagara Falls, New York. I lived in upstate New York for most of my first 27 years of life.
Okay.
And I moved here on 1/1/11. Yeah.
And what interested you in Austin?
It was more of a general disinterest in the city of Buffalo. I really did not want to die there. I knew if I didn't leave at that point, I may never, because it's the type of city that really sucks you in.
Really?
Yeah, it's one of those cities where people don't really move to. And they don't usually move out. And so anyone who has the means to do so, which I did not at the time, they should, or they do. And I had a telecommuting job, and I thought, well, I can just live anywhere. I don't have to live here anymore. And so I moved to the best city I could afford at the time. And that's right here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Why not, like, bigger cities, like, Manhattan, or... I mean, did you hang out much in different cities in New York? Or?
So I have been, and I don't want to come off as what's the word I want to use here? I don't want to come off as pretentious, but I've been pretty much everywhere in the U.S. And I'd been to New York probably 25 times, but I don't see myself as a New York person or a Chicago person, or Boston or DC or any of those like large prestige cities. I'm a West Coast medium-sized city guy.
Okay.
I prefer that because it's more manageable and it's less quick.
It does sound like Austin now that you described it.
Yeah, of course.
And music is what kind of paved the way?
So no, actually. It's funny you say that because when I first moved here, I really just moved here to move here. I didn't expect to play music at all. And for 15 months, I didn't even pick up the guitar. And then I had been working, I had gotten a new job since I'd lived here. I got a job working in a guy's garage as a marketing director, which I know sounds like a drug operation, but it wasn't. We published magazines. And, I actually got fired from that job. And I kind of woke up one day and realized I don't know anyone in this city. I had never had coworkers to go out with. I hadn't been going out on weeknights or weekends because I had a girlfriend who lived elsewhere, and so I would spend weekends with her. And so I ended up like kind of waking up one morning in March being like, I don't know what to do, but I got a lot of time now. And it's like, I wonder how people meet people. And I thought about that really hard. And I was like, John, if only you had a built-in excuse to talk to people. And I was like, that's right, I play guitar. And so I went out to an open mic and played, and people were like, hey, you're pretty good. And I was like, well, you're easy there. I'm fine. And, I ended up kind of falling into it. And for really about 3 to 4 years, I played music dang near every single night.
So, solo or with a band? Or?
I played solo. I still do. Well, I don't play at all. But I still play solo. I've only occasionally had a band attached to me. And it was usually just for fun. But for me, it was just a conversation I could have with a lot of people at once. And then once I realized you can also do that on the internet, I decided to take my business to the ones and the zeros.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what year did you move here?
I moved here January 1st, 2011.
Oh, yeah, duh.
11. No, it's fine. We just met. How would you have known that?
And so, that would have been like during winter.
Yeah, it was. There had been a fairly substantial snowstorm in Buffalo the week before. But it was like 75 degrees when I came down here, so naturally I was just over the moon about that.
And did you know anyone here?
I did not. I moved here knowing no one. I knew someone in San Antonio. She became my girlfriend. But no, I knew no one in this city. And I didn't know a soul for the first damn near year and a half. But that was ages ago. And now I feel like I know at least 10 people.
Yeah. Am I the 10th?
I think, I think you might be number 13.
Nice. That's a lucky number.
Very, yeah.
Okay, so you moved here January of 2011. And Did you have a job that you transferred?
Yeah, I had a telecommuting job where I was a operations manager for an ad agency.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
You said that. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So did you just transfer to a different branch?
It was work from home.
Oh, cool.
So there was no office.
Oh.
So I ended up just being like, well, I can kind of do this from anywhere. So I did.
Nice.
Yeah.
And now you're at, I don't know if you should say.
I am at a fairly substantially large technology conglomeration based just north of here.
Mm.
That is my 9 to 5 job.
So you haven't been doing music lately? I thought you were still...
I did music. You know, I started doing open mics in 2012. And then I things picked up. You know, I wound up getting like a lot of gigs. Most of those bars are now closed. So don't let me come play at your bar if you decide to open one. Your business will fail in a month. But I played music pretty consistently for about 4 years and developed a micro following, if you will. And, you know, just one day I kind of looked out at a bar, a half empty bar, you know, with people I didn't really know, and some of them very loudly requesting Sublime. And I was like, this is not how I'm gonna reach people.
Yeah.
I love music. I love playing music. I'm shockingly a much better drummer than I am a singer-songwriter. But drums are less portable, and so I don't still play them. I love performing. I love writing songs. I love hearing them on record when they're done. But the rest of the things you need to do to make a living off of it, the gear you have to vet and buy, the pedals you have to learn, the software you have to learn, the merchandising you have to do, the cold calling, the press kits, the photography, all of that. None of that interests me.
I'm totally with you.
Yeah, I have always been about the music itself. And if that makes me sound like, you know, old man shakes fist at sky about selling out, like that, then so be it. But I can't talk about selling out because of my job at a Fortune 500 company. There's an old lyric that someone once sang, and he said, "I'm done with elephants and clowns. I want to run away and join the office instead of the circus." That's pretty much what I did. And then I wound up getting weird afterwards.
So you wrote your own music when you did perform?
I did, yeah.
But they always requested cover?
So I had cover shows, right? But I had original shows too. And sometimes when you're at a bar and people are really drunk, they don't really know the difference. You know, if I'm somewhere playing for an hour, and just an hour, you know, and there's 12 songs and 2 other acts on the bill, like that ain't a cover gig. That is me literally bringing people into my world,
right?
You know, quote unquote bearing my soul. God, that sounds pretentious too.
No, it doesn't. And
trying to let people have a good time. A cover gig for me it's not music.
Yeah.
It's at that point you are a beer salesperson. Your job is to take people who walk into the bar and keep them there as long as possible by any means necessary, which is exactly what I did. I would be irreverent. I would play songs that I play mashups of songs that don't go together, songs you wouldn't ordinarily. Like, be honest, you go to a bar on 6th Street and there's 1,000 white guys like me playing Wonderwall and Santeria. And I was like, that'll never be me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be different than these other guys that no one can tell me apart from. And so, you know, I wouldn't be against mashing up Kendrick Lamar, Britney Spears, and the Pokemon theme song. Like, I wouldn't be against that. Yeah, right?
Shut up and play.
I know, right? I don't want to hear you talk. I want to hear you sing. I want to hear you rap. I never wanted to be like, I did that almost as a joke and as like a middle finger to the enterprise in general. And it was a blast. But it wasn't how I was going to make a difference on planet Earth.
Yeah.
So.
I totally feel you on that.
Yeah.
And so when you strayed away from music, you're writing. You write articles, right?
Yeah. I've been a writer for, at least on the internet, for 12 years.
On a website, or?
Yeah. I've written on various websites, and in most recently in 2014, I started writing on Medium, which is like a platform / publication.
Okay.
It's both. It's kind of like Netflix, right? It's both the originator of the content and also the distributor of it.
Okay.
So I started doing that in 2014, but it didn't really. I didn't start doing it consistently until 2017, and I don't think it really took off until 2018.
And what are your articles mostly about?
Lately, they've been this sort of amalgam of self-help, existentialism, socio-political commentary, armchair philosophy, and inane pop culture references. Now, I know that all sounds like it shouldn't go together, and maybe it shouldn't, but I'm doing it, and I think it's going okay.
I like that. I can't believe I haven't seen it. Have you put a link up anywhere? Or where?
It's the link in my Instagram bio, which is Hey Gorman, by the way. Yeah. But no.
I saw one article. Doesn't it lead to one? Or do you have like...
It should lead to the whole page.
Okay.
So there's about 200 or so.
Oh,
there. Yeah.
200 articles you wrote?
Yeah.
In a year?
No, so here's
okay.
the dirty secret. I want to let you in on it. So, as I mentioned, my Medium sort of took off in the beginning of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did was, I told you I'd been a writer for 12 years. I had started to get a bit of a following in like 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, well, what if I just took all my old essays that no one read, remixed them, and dropped one a day for like 3 months.
Smart.
And much to my surprise, it wasn't the fact that they were bad that people didn't read them at first. It just wasn't time yet. And so I posted them all, and it all just sort of built upon itself. And, you know, I went from, I had 16, maybe 100, about 160,000 readers in 2017. And in 2018, I had about 3 million.
Holy shit-o.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It was.
And how did you market? I mean, I know you worked for that marketing company, but like, how did you market your own writing?
I never have.
So
I have only posted links to Facebook and Twitter. No one reads them on there, except for my mom. Sorry, Mom. And it was all organic. It was all people finding it and sharing it with other people.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because if I promoted every little thing that I did, and I already promote too much as it is, but if I promoted every little thing that I did, I don't think I would have any friends.
Yeah.
So you've got to know which battles to pick and choose when it comes to how much you want people invested in what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I probably promote about 10% of what I do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which article had the most reads?
Okay, I can answer this.
You're on the clock now.
Yeah, right. So there is a piece that is called I'll tell you a little story behind it. It's called The 3 Keys to Becoming Irresistible. It's on Medium. You can read it. And it's short. It's like a 4-minute read. So we're talking like less than 800 words. And I posted it, and I didn't think it was very good. And I sent it to my friend who complains that my writing is too long. And I was like, here, a short one. And she read it, and she's like, this is probably my favorite thing you've ever written. And I was like, really? This one? Of all of them? You hate them all. This one, really? I was shocked, right? And so I didn't think nothing of it. And then it just it didn't even really go viral so much as it just has this sustained evergreen quality to it. It's still, in 2019, it is still my most popular column. It is the second most popular article in the history of Medium.
Wow.
Yeah, 700,000 reads.
That's crazy.
It is. They have been taught by college professors. They have been brought into business meetings. They have been rebroadcast, republicized, syndicated. Someone has asked me to turn it into an online class. It's sort of intriguing, really, to think like I just sort of wrote this to write it.
Yeah.
It wasn't an official thing. I'm no thought leader. I was just sort of shooting from the hip. And it suddenly turned into this thing that people really seem to gravitate toward. And, now it's got this sort of official quality to it that I candidly just didn't expect it to have.
On the Medium website, can readers comment on the article? And is it like buttons and all
There's
that too?
claps. So in Medium, and this is how I get paid, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope you get paid.
Yeah, you get paid by the clap. That's not a STD reference. But yeah, like however many claps equates to a certain amount of dollars, right? And so that's how we get paid. So if you're if you're wherever you are, if you're watching this, do find the 3 keys to becoming irresistible and give it 50 claps. That is like $4.
Really? Whoa.
It's fine. The column has 240,000 claps.
Wow.
So I've done okay. It's passive income at this point.
So you've been writing on there.
Yes.
And you're working at
my day job.
Undisclosed.
A lot of great branding happening there.
Are you on, I know that you said you just kind of write stuff, on your own leisure, really. So you don't really have any, pressure to put out so many articles by this. Okay.
I don't have an editor. I don't have a publisher. I don't have assignments.
It's all you.
I just, if I think of something, I will write it. Here's another super weird thing about Medium, or at least it's interesting to me. I don't know how interesting it's going to be to our I almost said reader base, our viewers out there. But I was in Denver, Colorado, Boulder specifically, which is not Denver. Shout out to Colorado people. I apologize for offending you. I was at a Avery Brewing Company, just chilling there, waiting to have dinner with a friend, and I ended up like typing this column about an experience that I had with a freelance client about 2 weeks prior, which was I made this brand. This woman came to me. She's like, I have a business idea and I don't know how I'm going to turn all this into a business. And I was like, no big deal. And so I did this thing and I spat out this brand platform after 3 hours. And she was like, you, sir, are a fucking wizard. And I was like, well, that's the Adderall and the microdosing. But I appreciate the sentiment, right? And so I ended up like taking this idea of how to create a brand platform and turning it into a column, it was 3 phases, all an hour long. It was like discovery, right? You take notes, you listen, you do all your thing, right? Organization, you take everything that you heard and experienced and took down and you organize it into a structure that works for what you want to accomplish, right? And then you work, right? You actually make the thing that you then give to someone as a finished product. And I was like, I really just wrote that just to write it, and it became kind of popular. Not, super popular, but popular enough where I was like, oh, I might have something here. And so about a week after that, I had to give a talk at my day job, redacted, in front of like this executive HR audience about my creative process, because they had read my writing on Medium and thought, hey, you're really good at ideas. Would you mind speaking to the team about how you come up with ideas so quickly? And I was like, well. So I took that column and I added it to some information I gleaned from, other things I had written, and turned it into this sort of, how to be creative, like TED Talk type thing, right? And it was like a 40-minute, 5,000-word speech that I was reading off my phone because it was a webinar. So it wasn't like I had to get up in front of a room and have it memorized. And then I had like a PowerPoint deck, right? And it had all this in there. And this marketing academy, continuing education person at my job was like, would you mind teaching this as a class? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I'd love to do that. And I had, I'm in talks with someone now to perhaps turn it into part of a book, part of an actual TED Talk. I don't know if all this is going to happen. I could be, getting everyone's hopes up, not least of all mine. But the fact that like I can do that one thing and have it lead to something that's like a quantum leap above where I was is surreal and awesome and kind of funny.
That's so, I don't know. Wow. It's such a compliment to your work, though. It must be flattering that, like, you do this just for fun, but people are wanting to take your words as, a structure to better their business. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting because, so for one, I'll say this. No one's a harsher critic of my own work than I am. Two, because of that, I think people who love my work, or the fact that people do, is patently ridiculous. And 3, when I interact with that, I always make it a point to tell myself, don't get too high, don't get too low. Because I am susceptible to sort of getting high off my own supply, so to speak. But I'm also, predisposed to feeling slighted when something I think is good doesn't get the traction I feel it deserves. And so it really took me, over the last year or two, weirdly, like as things started to take off, it really took some counsel from people who had already walked that path toward, not being anonymous anymore. And it took just a lot of self-discipline to be like, try not to think too much about how this is affecting people. Just continue to do the work. Continue to make it as good as it can be, and just continue to walk through the open doors and don't worry about the ones that are locked.
Wow. I like that. That's such sound advice for you artists out there.
Yeah, all of you. Shout out to artists.
I actually just posted on my stories today about like self-loathing and just like, I do those silly questions. I don't know if you follow me. I'm just dorky in my stories, but
I don't follow. So confession. I don't follow anyone's stories.
Oh, that's okay.
Because I don't have that kind of. I have this thing where if I see a notification, I have to click it. So if I left everyone's stories up, I would never get off Instagram. I'd be, it's like Tetris, right? It's like, oh, there's one more bar to clear, and so I have to mute everyone. So I apologize for not knowing your stories.
But I was just reiterating the whole artist self-loathing, and sometimes you just have to remind ourselves like there's a reason why we do it, even though we can be our toughest critic.
Right, of course.
There's something you have to be proud of that you've created, that you continue sharing that vulnerable side to everyone. Yeah,
I think when it comes to, whether you're a writer, a musician, a photographer, a painter, a sculptor, whatever it is that you do, actor, comedian, whatever, I think part of the motivation behind it, if you're really someone who breathes it, if it's really aligned with who you are, I think part of the motivation is just straight compulsion.
Yeah.
I think, like, in my head at least, I have to write. I don't, and that goes back, it goes back years, right? And to be fair, I never expected to be a writer until I was 30. Before that, all writing was just sort of like, I'm thinking stuff. Here's a Facebook status, right? And then, but I had gotten to a point where I couldn't not write anymore. It was too inevitable. It made too much sense to keep doing it. And candidly, I'm just not much good at too many other things. And so I wanted to really, it's almost like I didn't, people say I didn't choose the thug life, it chose me. Well, I'm not much of a thug, but that life did choose me. Yeah. And so I feel as though I write because I have to.
Right. Yeah.
And I love it. It's, it's as elemental to me as air.
Yeah.
Words
just comes
are.
Naturally.
But I have to do it. Yeah. Otherwise, I get a backlog and I get real anxious. Yeah.
But I do remember you posting that you had some not so great times. Like you were homeless for a little bit.
Ooh, okay.
Sorry.
No, that's.
It's not something you hear every day. So
no.
It's very inspiring knowing where you are now.
Yeah. It's the white pursuit of happiness. Yeah. As people tell me that, they're like, "Oh, you're like Will Smith." I'm like, nope. There's several key differences. All the shades on the swatch, and about $7 billion in critical acclaim, and people actually knowing his name. So here's. I assume you want to know how I became homeless, or how I got out of being homeless.
Exactly.
Or what it was like.
Just that whole journey sounds.
So, I mentioned I had gotten fired and was like, I don't know what to do in my life. I guess I'll play music, right? And I went about 6-7 months without gainful employment, which, in my defense, I thought wouldn't be an issue because I had a 401k. But my old employer, not the one that had fired me, but the one before that, actually was switching 401k providers. And so I had no access to that money. It was only supposed to last for 30 days, but the blackout period lasted for about 6 months. And so, just coincidentally, while I happened to be in those sort of straits. So I ended up having to, I got evicted.
This is in Austin?
This was in Austin, yeah. This was 2012.
Okay.
So this is a while ago. Yeah. It was about 7 years ago. I got evicted. I thought I had gotten a job at a place that will not be named. But that guy ghosted me after making me an offer when I accepted the offer. I was expecting to get a start date and a salary. It didn't happen. So I left, right? Like I went down to my girlfriend at the time who lived in San Antonio. I was like, here's my cat. And that was just, soul sucking and shaming as far as, what it's like to be in that situation. At 29 and after having graduated from college, to be in a situation where you feel like you're letting people close to you down by just not being who you were promised to be, was really humbling. And so I ended up getting a job where I'm at now. And so I was crashing down at my lady friend's at the time. And then I ended up how do I put this? I ended up getting a job where I work. And then on my way back from orientation, I went down to celebrate, with my girl at the time. And I had to panhandle for gas money to get back down there. And then when I got back down there, my car got repossessed.
Oh.
So now I'm like, how am I going to get back 75, 80 miles up to where I need to be to even fix this conundrum I've now found myself in? And so I ended up using her credit card to rent a Jeep. Now, I paid for it, but I needed a credit card. And so I packed my clothes in it and I slept in it for 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
And and then after my first paycheck, with a little bit of help, I got my car out of repossession. I didn't ask to do. My plan was to buy a new car. That's not how it went. And then I'm trying to remember the order exactly. That was my 30th birthday. And I ended up getting a room at the Hampton Inn, and I took my first shower in 3.5 weeks. And it was delightful. And then I went to work, and then I ended up getting my car. I lived in a crack den Red Roof Inn on 183 and 35 for 7 more weeks, occasionally not being able to make, the payment to be there all 5 nights. And so some nights I would just wander, right? And some nights there were long nights of walking to gas stations from where my car was broken down, and there were times where I just had to run away from the police who were trying to get me for trespassing on hotel properties, and there were times spent brushing my teeth in an H-E-B bathroom and I'm not proud of this, but stealing produce from supermarkets just to eat. And it was hard, right? And so you go through that, and then when my 401k finally came back, I was able to get an apartment for the first time in 8 months, which 9 months, somewhere in there. And that taught me something I never thought I would learn, which was the only difference between me now and the other people I was sleeping in that Walmart parking lot with, probably now, who might still be sleeping there, is I had people who believed in me. That's the difference. We're only as strong and as successful and as fruitful as people let us be.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was really important to remember that you're nothing without support from people, and you're nothing without continuing to just keep writing. So I had gotten a job, so my day job I still write, right? Just for different reasons, right? For me, it was always, I'm going to write better, faster, and more than anyone else on earth. I'm going to continue to do that until one day I don't have to anymore. And then I'll just do it for fun, which I still do. I did it for fun before I did it for money. But for me, it was always like, I need to create. I need to make a difference. I need to out-hustle. I hate that word now. I don't even want to say that I out-hustle, because I think hustle culture is a scam. I need to just be better, faster, and more prolific than anyone else that I'm with. And it's not really a competitive thing. It's a like I said, a compulsion. I have to do it because it's what I'm good at, I think, or at least better than bad. and because I don't ever want to be back there.
Yeah.
And so thankfully I haven't been. I'm doing good now. I have a positive net worth, which is really nice, and I don't have to earn any more anymore. I'm very content with where I am, and so that frees me up to be. And I this is a bit of a detour, but I want to make sure that this point gets made. And I'm so sorry. Like, you probably have questions, or you want
Go for it.
Want to add something. I'm sure. One thing that I feel needs to be said is for people who struggle, for people who make not enough to live comfortably or the way that they want to, and so they feel compelled to I hate the fact that I'm scrambling to find words at this one crucial moment. I'm going to re-rack this.
It's okay.
And then I'm going to do it again. I think that one thing that I learned as I've gone from, claiming $11,000 in taxes in 2012 to claiming a redacted amount of money that's more than 10 times that in 2018 is this. A lot of people say money changes you. And what a lot of people don't talk about is when you go from struggling to survive to I don't notice when direct deposit hits, is you become kinder. You become more patient. At least if you learned the right lessons from where you were to where you go. You know, I became a kinder person. I became a more patient person. I became, candidly, a much better person. I was not proud of who I was then, and it wasn't just because I was poor. You know, I had to live, and when you are struggling in survival mode, you don't have time to weigh the ethical and moral ramifications of everything that you do. Right. You become bitter. You feel slighted and spiteful. And I don't feel that anymore. And I haven't really in a while. And I think that that's something that goes overlooked a lot, and I think that sort of ties into why so many people who are struggling here in the US are so angry and spiteful and bitter, because they're in survival mode. Mm-hmm. And they're easily threatened. And so if, you know, I sometimes say, you know, if you're comfortable and not afraid of what you'll lose, I think you will, if you can find a way for everyone to have enough, I think certain aspects of the civil unrest that we currently face would at least greatly diminish, if not disappear.
Wow.
I am funny. I swear to God. And you know, it's fun. I sat here, you know, I was getting ready for this, and I thought, listen, there's two ways you can approach this, right? You could be really funny and you know, I'm John at the bar. I'm musician John. I'm super fun, right? Or you could be deep existential. And I didn't decide before I got here. And I was like, you know, this could go one of two ways. Either I'm going to be like a professor, or I'm going to be like a bad lounge comedian act. Then I thought, I don't know, maybe get you a man who can do both.
Wow, I'm just that really hit me when you said that, and I'm just like, fuck, why do I have to be drinking right now? I'm going to be crying.
I mean, you're good. If you're crying after that, I'm going to ask you, how much did you have before I got here?
Well, I'm a lightweight, but no, I needed to hear that because just chiming in with my personal situation.
Please do. Yeah.
You take for granted what you have, and I've been striving to get to the next level in my job, you know, just it's not that I don't make enough money. I'm obviously financially content. I can afford, you know, the basic things that you need to survive, and you still want more. And it's sad that I don't know. Well, I don't like being complacent, first of all.
Sure,
so of course, I do want to advance to the next level, just so I know that I am progressing in life, that I'm not just good at this one thing, but I need that reminder that you know, they're not saying that pity others, but there are so many other people that have it worse, and maybe also coming from because I am Filipino, and knowing that my family is from a third world country, and you know, just count my blessings and just be grateful, and thank you. I needed that.
Hey, you're welcome.
I'm always hard on myself, because it's you know, with every job interview that I go through, it's why am I not good enough?
Right.
And I just have to keep reminding myself, it's not you, it's really them. They're looking for someone to fit their mold to just make them more money, you know? And I'm not like that. So if I have to sacrifice my integrity or like change who I am just so I could be on that next level. It's not worth it.
Right. I'll say this. So there's sort of two parallels I'm going to draw here. So like I had been fired from every job I had ever had.
Really?
Before I got my most recent 9 to 5. And usually after only like a year, right?
Wow.
Because they were like, yeah, this just isn't, this isn't going to work. This isn't, you're not very good. It didn't matter if it was like a restaurant or like a radio station or a, or like a call center or a publishing company or whatever it was, right? Like, I kept getting let go for various different reasons. And I was like, you can let that really sink in. And I was like, I'm just lazy or stupid or not a hard worker or not a good worker or not cut out for, whatever. And then I got like the most corporate job you can get. Now, granted, I still write, but like the environment is like basically office space, right? On a global scale. And I ended up like, but before I got that, and I've now been there for 7 years, and I'm doing great. But before that, I really thought like I'm just not. I doubted myself so much, and I was like, all I do is just screw up and let people down, and you can really like internalize that. Yeah. And so my kind of takeaway in a roundabout way was sometimes you're just a square peg looking for a square hole. And when you find it, it makes sense. And you don't even realize why it didn't make sense before. And better than that, you don't even remember that it didn't make sense before. Because in my head now, like I don't want to say that my job is my identity. It's not. I do plenty of things, but life feels completely different. And when you have an established career and an established personal brand and an established network of connections you can utilize, heaven forbid I lost my job tomorrow, I'd be unemployed for about 5 minutes. And I would never wish that upon myself. But I do know in the event that, for whatever reason, because inside of me, a part of me really always feels like I'm about to get fired. Because it just used to happen all the time. Knowing that now gives me the confidence to do my job the way I want to do it, conduct myself the way I want to conduct myself, spend time being the best person I can be, and if not, apologizing profusely for it, and then writing a 7,000 word medium essay about the apology. For me, now it's reached a point where, okay, I'm going to be okay. No matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. And when you come to that realization, and look, it doesn't come easily and it doesn't come right away. But when you come to that realization, it takes so much weight off of you. Weight you didn't even know it was there. And then you do it and you're like, oh, things are going to be all right. No matter what I want to do. I'm going to have someone who's going to believe in me enough to give me the opportunity. And I have enough of a cachet built up where I can lean on it if I have to. And so once I got to that point, then I was like, I have enough. Make enough. I have enough friends. I have good family. I have, not my own, by the way. I have a good family of like parents and sisters and stuff. I have friends. I have wonderful partner, and I'm gonna be all right. And when I came to that realization, I was, it really changed me. And so what I always tell people is, if you can still look up, walk up. But if you can't look up anymore, don't forget to look around. And then when you're done looking around, reach down, help someone else get to the top with you.
God damn it. Why am I tearing up? I'm tearing up.
There's no crying in podcasting.
What the fuck?
We'll cut to commercial. We'll be right back.
It's just like so timely. Like I needed to hear that,
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. God damn it. This is worse than Oprah. I don't have like free cars for everyone underneath my chair.
I mean, to be fair, you would only need one. So I'll just take the one in the driveway. It'll be great. That car's mine
man.
too.
Damn. Wow,
Mm-hmm.
right in here.
Yeah. Feels good, right?
Yeah, and and that's why I started the podcast, because it's like I want to help. Oops. I want to help others.
Sure.
Because it's like I know what it's like to not feel supported. Oh my god! I feel like I have to cut this out. I think I've been drinking, and it's not even a lot.
No, that's.
God.
I mean.
Well, here's the episode where Fatal cries like a fucking wuss.
Fatal cry. Oh my god. No, that right there, you've cried more tears than you've drank of that liquor. So the flamingo is judging you right now.
Oh man! Wow.
How come your eyes are the color of my neon?
Well, you should feel special for really breaking through here, because it's a tough one to break through.
I really always got the impression that you were just over half dead inside.
Yeah.
The first name really gave it away.
Oh man. Okay. Wow. Yeah, I need to read your articles.
Sure.
Was that one the 3 things?
The 3 keys to becoming irresistible is I wouldn't start you on that one.
Oh, is that too heavy?
No, that one. I was gonna say that one's not heavy enough. Now that I know what altitude you're flying at, I'm gonna hook you up with something pretty special.
Okay. All right.
But yes, look, I'm not someone who would say you should read me, because that's just so presumptuous. I know you're going to love what I do. I'm not going to promote it that way. But, if you are genuinely curious, I will try and curate, the ones that I think are my favorites.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah.
Please, put me on a meal plan. Feed my soul.
Girl, you didn't come to the buffet. Your soul be empty.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, we should probably lighten the mood a bit.
Yeah, let's do it. We can talk about the work I do in politics.
Yeah, okay, so let's briefly touch on that.
Sure.
You work for, and I'm sorry, the name escapes me.
I will try and not butcher the name myself. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Okay.
So I'm not, and to be fair, I'm not on her staff.
Mm.
Okay.
Oh, she's who's been making.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I follow politics, but I try not to because it's so.
I get it. I don't. I would say, other than The Economist and Quartz, I don't read the news either. I've ghosted Twitter. When people post stuff on Facebook, I'm like, no, that's not today. And but yes, so.
But she's one of the good ones.
She is. She's. I mean, I'm impossibly biased, but I would say she's the best one, and she has this, revolutionary idea that everyone, regardless of where they were born, what color they are, what gender they are, who they want to sleep with, anything, what religion, what country they're from, deserves the same dignified shot at a life that they can be proud of. And it doesn't get any more elemental than that, right? It's like, in a world where there's enough, no one should be lacking.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more than enough.
Oh, yeah.
And so when she kind of said it the way that she said it, a year and a half ago, when I was in a Facebook group for brand new Congress, and her information came up, and I was like, oh, this woman gets it. Okay. She's a bartender. Great. She's got no shot. I got to get involved with this. Right? And so this is actually at the beginning of Knock Down the House, the documentary on Netflix right now, where it takes place around this time. And she's like just at a bar, just like emptying the ice bucket, right? Like in the Bronx. And yeah, like, I loved what she stood for. I still do, obviously. So I got involved, right? First I was, I donated. I was on the mailing list, started phone calling and writing postcards and, texting in English and Spanish.
Really?
Which, yeah.
You speak Spanish?
I started learning pretty seriously in the beginning of 2017, and I eventually got good enough to at least understand it and read it. And then after I went to Spain, like in August of last year, I haven't spoken Spanish since, so I can't really speak it anymore. Mm-hmm. I can speak it a little bit. But yeah, so came around where she was like looking for a copywriter. And so, her and I, we're friendly on Instagram and Twitter and whatnot. And so I was like, hey, I do this. She's like, talk to my creative director. I'm like, okay. And so, I talked to him, and he's like, so what makes you think you can copyright? And I was like, well, I have a Medium page with like 20,000 followers, and I wrote the signs that are in your airport. I don't think you can do better. He was like, you're probably right. You got the job.
Wow, just like that?
Just like that. It was the easiest interview in my life. He's like, what makes you think you can write for her? I'm like, well, she sounds like me when she talks, So it was easy, right? And I don't want to say easy, but it was she
Yeah.
And yeah, I was in it, pretty much from not the beginning, but pretty close to it. And she won the primary, and that was like this huge moment. Nobody expected her to win, and we're all just. I was like the one guy in Texas. Everyone else is in New York at the after party. I'm like, cool. All right, Photoshop me in. Thanks. So I ended up, being a part of that, and so I stuck with it, and so I'm doing work for the Green New Deal now, which is surreal to think about, and it's rewarding because it's like, as I said earlier, I was playing to these half-empty bars, and I was like, this is not how I'm going to make my mark on planet Earth. Yeah. And to know that, like, there's legitimately things I'm doing right now that help change the course of history. And to a degree, I don't want to make it sound magnanimous like that, because in a way we all do, right? We're all, if reality is an operating system, we're all not only end users, we're also user experience designers, right? So we are all taking things in and then emitting things that change the world, no matter what it is that we do. But to be a part of something that not just big, but undeniably good is just humbling and rewarding and so it just makes you feel alive and like what you do matters.
Purposeful.
Yeah, you know, and like look, I'm never going to run for office. I have shitty credit. I have a criminal record. I am no one's patron saint of anything. But if I can help good people I believe in, people who inspire others and who aren't necessarily on the right side of history, but who are on the right side of morality, I can't not put my passions into something, into something that can make a difference, however that will be. You know, I look, I don't want to ever, you know, I'm never going to get nominated for outstanding lead actor, okay? But if I can be like a critically acclaimed supporting actor in like every movie that's awesome, there ain't nothing better for me. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow. We should probably wrap up because I could honestly talk forever with you now that like.
As could I.
Yeah. This is really good.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, this is the first episode where I've ever cried on my podcast. Oh my god, I feel so stupid.
Fatal Waterworks. The spin-off. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
I'm so glad you took a chance on a stranger.
Oh jeez.
Yeah.
I hate when everyone claims to be an empath, but I do have this ability to like, you know, I just feel like a connection to certain people.
Yeah.
And I mean, as superficial as Instagram could be, it's allowed me to connect with people that I'm like, wow, I really relate to you, or like you were meant to be in my life somehow.
Yeah.
Like to inspire, to motivate me, and it's incredible. Like just the stories I hear and the experiences, it's worth it. So
I have to say, before we go, I love your photography. It is unique. It is so outside the realm of the photography I'm used to seeing. And I think it's endlessly enrapturing. Aww. And so I look forward to seeing more of it. And I just want you to know that I really appreciate like what you do for the art.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate that. I feel like sometimes it's a little bit too out there.
Sure. But that's your brand,
and I
right?
hate saying photography because it's not.
It's not. It's art.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like visual graphic.
Exactly.
Art.
Like my photography is just like cell phone pictures that have been saturated to death. Like that's all it is, right? But it's more art than photography. Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah. What you do is actual art. You know, this isn't like look, there's a role for wedding photographers, but like let's be honest.
Right.
There's a lot of wedding photographers and all their work kind of looks the same. What you're doing is your vision, unapologetically so. Some of it is beautiful, and it's an expression. It's an interpretation. Yeah. I often say, and now we're running over or whatever.
Okay.
I often say that, a raw photo is what is, right? But what you do afterwards, that's what you see in what is. You know? So like, that's the difference between reality and perception. And if your perception is such that you can extract visual interest and aesthetic beauty out of whatever it is you see, that there's no other higher form of synthesis. It is essentially akin to magic.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tear again. I'm just kidding.
I was trying to I was like, well, she's already cried sad tears. What if she could cry happy tears? They taste the same.
Oh my gosh. Oh, well, I thank you so much. And
You're
this
welcome.
was such a wonderful conversation. And I would love to have you back on again, for real.
I would love to be back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so let's drop our links. We got the Medium.
So John Gorman, JOHN GORMAN .co. Yeah. My name.com. Don't go to .com. Holy cow, it looks like it was made on Lotus Notes. Not mine at all. Pretty sure that guy's dead by now. But so that's my Medium, right? Instagram is Hey Gorman. So HEY, last name GORMAN. And I don't think anyone should find me anywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't need to.
Ocasio2018.com. Donate.
There you go.
I don't think we're hurting for money anymore, but we were. But yeah, just that's where I'm at. What about you?
Oh, well, they all know where to find me. I'm really just on Instagram. I'm too lazy to have multiple platforms. Oh, and YouTube. Well, duh.
Oh, you're on YouTube, right?
Well, just these podcasts.
Sure, of course.
I don't have any goals of like making my YouTube the typical YouTube thing. Like I do want to do a mukbang and like do like an interview type thing.
Yeah.
Just to make it fun.
Yeah.
But I don't want to like vlog my life or.
I mean, there's so like I don't even do stories, right? Like my Instagram stories are like, I like this song. I hope other people can listen to it. Like that's it, right?
Right.
Yeah, because what's more hubris than thinking, oh man, people are gonna love to know where I'm eating lunch right now? Like, no.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that.
Right. And then it just opens the door to like, sponsorships and ads, and now you're just a living commercial.
So, can I tell you something?
Yeah.
In secret. I am now sponsored.
Really?
Yeah. It happened. It happened while I was in Denver. Some of my stories and some of my posts are advertisements. But I said I'm keeping full editorial control of how this is going to go down. Don't get it. It's by a cannabis company.
Oh, well, I am not mad at you.
I often say, so they came to me because not accidentally, but like I tagged them in one of my Medium essays, and they started getting sales.
Wow.
Of it, right? And they were like, who is this guy? And so I guess the founders like read some of my stuff, and they were like, we got to bring this guy aboard. And so they reached out in January, and finally in April I went up and I saw them. And they were like, so, love what you do. You want to be like an ambassador or an advocate? And I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, why not?
And then they're like, cool. And then they like bring me to the back of their office, and yeah, right. And then they're like, here, take one of each. And I'm like,
wow.
So I did, and then I came home. I'm sorry, I went back to my hotel and I looked at it all, and I'm like, this isn't gonna make it back on the plane with me.
Oh shit.
So I took a bus. So I took a 21-hour bus ride from Denver to Austin overnight. So I left at Saturday 7 p.m., arrived Sunday in Austin at 5. And if you ever have the chance to take a Greyhound from Denver to Austin, don't. I was at a bus stop in Amarillo, Texas, having never been there before, and I thought I was in a holding cell.
Oh.
And yet, I really began to question my life choices. But I made it home.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's not often that you have a man admit to a felony on air. But, I mean, it's a misdemeanor. But, like, I was like, well...
Stay tuned for part 2.
Yeah, stay tuned for part 2 when we talk about drug smuggling and how that will look when it's legalized nationwide, which is, again, a piece of policy that yours truly is working on.
Nice.
So...
Well, thank you again. Like I said, I can keep going, but, yeah, we'll catch up again. And Hey Gorman at medium.co.
No,
right?
Just,
did I fuck that up?
yeah.
I did. I'm so
3 different
sorry.
URLs.
Okay.
JohnGorman.co. Instagram is Hey Gorman.
Okay.
Medium is what JohnGorman.co redirects you to.
Yeah, what he said.
Yeah.
Well, I like to cheers at the end of each episode. So,
Cheers.
Thank you again. Until part 2, when who knows what I'm gonna do? Hyperventilate? I don't know.
That's a 21 and up show.
There you go.
You can reach us at fatalpodcastatx@gmail.com or Instagram at fatalappeal.